Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Cats coverage. We got Tim right here I guess he's on my top left. I don't know where he's at for y'all. We got Michael on the bottom of my screen, and I'm Trace. Happy to get back into this thing. I mean, we were just discussing before we hit record. It's been a little while since we got on one of these and talked it up, and we've talked a lot in person, but we haven't got sat down, and we're all busy right now. Football and basketball, we haven't sat down and recorded a podcast since before Big Blue Madness. So, man, that was every bit of 3+ weeks ago. Big Blue Madness went by. The Blue-White Scrimmage went by. Kentucky's had 2 exhibitions against Kentucky Wesleyan and Minnesota State University or something of that sort. And now Kentucky had their first game of the season against Wright State. They won 103-62, won by 41 points. If 41 points stands out to anybody and knows what that means, that was Mark Pope's jersey number. I don't know. It seems like some of the Kentucky gods made that happen for a reason. But anyways, Kentucky's 1-0. Vibes are good around Kentucky basketball right now. Michael, let's start off with you. After one game and I guess 2 exhibitions, how's things feeling for you with this Kentucky basketball team?
Feel good, man. We talk so much about this new group, and I've been telling people, hey, just be ready in case these guys aren't that good. If they lose games, what if they miss the tournament? Don't freak out if they have double-digit losses, kind of just tempering everyone's expectations with all the hype with Mark Pope coming in. And the first exhibition I covered, and I was really excited to just see what these guys were going to look like, because I didn't see Big Blue Madness or the Blue-White game, and you really just want to see them play somebody else. And they looked good, man. The offense was incredible in that exhibition. The first one, I wasn't at the second one, but I was at the Wright State game, and the offense looked great again. It was actually nice that they got a little punch back there in the first half. Wright State had a good response after the Cats started strong, but then they rolled through the rest of the first half. I can't remember what the run was, but it was a long run. It was a double-digit run.
I think 18-3 or 2. 18 is something really, really low.
Yeah, I just think they look great on offense. Some nights the shot won't be falling, and that's okay. So they're just going to have to find other ways to score. But I love their defense, man. Lamont Butler is a dog. I mean, he's sticky. He's just on. He's on his defender. All the steals. He had 3 in this one, 6 in that first exhibition. And I just talked about it on Fox 56. I put together a highlight. It's a VO. But a highlight of all the steals and blocks that they got turning into buckets. And I'm just hey, defense and the offense is a traditional sports concept in any sport, right? If you can force turnovers and turn defense into offense, which is football, which is, any sport, and certainly for basketball, it just jumpstarts the Cats offense, getting buckets at the rim. They should have had, a couple more. Lamont Butler got a great pickpocket steal, but then missed the dunk. And we were but they are great defensively right now. They wreak havoc. At least they are on these small teams, and we'll see once they get to the big boys. But for now, it's encouraging to see what they're doing on that end of the floor.
Tim, let's pass it on to you.
Kind of bouncing off of what Michael said, I think you can kind of just overall fit everything under their experience. I mean, it's completely different going from last year, or really, I mean, any Cal years with just a load of freshmen to something like this. But just knowing their spots and how to run the fast break offense, I think is why they're having such great success at that. But kind of like what Michael said there too. If the three's not falling, they definitely need to try to go inside, try to finish, try to find a different form of offense going. But I got to say that Wright State game, their finishing was pretty good. I thought they impressed me quite a bit there. And Ortega, especially, I think it was 8 for 9. I know he was 3 for 3 from 3, but I mean, he's definitely the best rim finisher on this team. So glad to see that he's getting going here. I don't think many thought he'd be the top contributor that he is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a concern of mine too, is if the threes aren't falling, I didn't want it to be like the early Alabama teams of Nate Oates where they just, they could smack a team by 25 or they could lose by 25 and nothing really in between. I mean, in my opinion, through 2 exhibitions in this first game, they found plenty of other ways to score when the threes have been falling, but they've matched it with other buckets in the post. Andrew Carr has been a little slow, but Otega Owe, he's had a lot at the paint. Lamont Butler's taken to the rack a bunch. Amari Williams, Brandon Garrison was good in the first 2 exhibitions, but in this first game he was a little slow. The threes have been falling, but it's not just been all threes. They've matched it with a good amount of other types of shots inside the paint, 2-footers, 10-foot jump shots. So that worry that we're talking about, in my opinion, it's getting smaller and smaller for me. And we're only in the first game, so that's kind of refreshing to see, and just from what I've witnessed.
Yeah, they don't look great mid-range, and which is fine because in Pope's offense, it's he doesn't want you taking mid-range shots. That's the current offense, obviously, and so like Kobe missed one, Garrison missed a couple. They don't need to be taking these 15, 16 footers, maybe like at the free throw line, or they just aren't going to take a lot of those, but they are missing those. So that's the only thing. The shot chart is funny because it's just all threes in the paint, which is good. So it's a good recipe. It's going to work. I just, at this point, I just want to see them play somebody good, and no disrespect to Wright State or the 2 exhibitions, but to see them go up against Duke, I mean, that one's going to be, there's obviously so much energy and motivation to win that one for the rivalry and to beat Duke. But in terms of just basketball, just to see these guys face somebody that, like, another team that is going to be just as talented, if not more talented. They got, Cooper Flag, NBA products, out there, and, Duke is Duke. So to see these boys, this group of misfits come together, and they're looking great, but now to see them come together and if they can knock off one of the Blue Bloods, I think that's certainly going to be encouraging for the rest of this non-conference schedule going into SEC play. If they can get a big win that early, it's like, whoa, man, watch out for this team. And then if they lose, maybe they'll lose by 20, they might just get smacked and not get ready. But at this point, I feel like there's a low probability of that. I feel like they're going to be in that game. They're going to hit shots. Are they going to be, wrapped up in the moment? Like, oh, it's Duke, Champions Classic, bright lights, but these guys are all experienced, like you said, Timo, and like they're going to be ready for the moment. So I think it'll be a close game. I don't know if they're going to win, but if they do pull it off, it certainly adds even more juice to it.
Yeah,
Michael, you got me fired up for that game, man. I was already ready to go for that game. I got to tell you what, I saw a video earlier today about the 2018 loss that we suffered from them with Zion and everything. We're going to go in there. I think we're going to kick their ass like they did back then to us. I think we're going to pull it out 30 plus. No, maybe not that much, but I think we might on the big stage.
Well, I wonder who's going to guard Cooper. I mean, how tall is he? I forget.
I want to say 6'10". I mean, he's.
How is that?
Let me make sure on that. But
man, I think I've been thinking about that while y'all are kind of leading into this. I want you to think about who you want to guard him too. I think Tab. You said how tall?
6'9".
6'9".
He's only 17. Gosh.
Otega Owe's a little bit smaller than that, but my pick's Otega Owe. That's who I think should go out there and guard him. He's gonna be however tall. How tall did you say is he? How tall is he, Tim? Sorry.
6'9".
6'9".
Yeah.
So
Otega's what, 6'8"?
6'8". I know he's going to spend a lot of time in the post, but he's also he's got handles. He's going to come up at the 3-point line and spend a lot of time running in and out. He's not going to just bury in the post. I think Otega always that middle ground of big body shoulder, but still got, he's a 2 or 3. He's not a prone center. So I would go with Otega Always, who I would probably pick to guard him or switch.
Otega's only 6'4". I agree with you. Just eyesight, the eye test. That's a good look. Maybe they'll try to throw Carr on him. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Amari. I don't know if Amari can go out there and guard like that.
Amari's probably too slow.
Yeah, Carr could go out there but maybe Ansley for some minutes. I don't know. That's going to be a fun matchup right there because the kid's going to cook. I mean, he's a 5-star. But if they could keep him in check, and I don't know much about the rest of the team, but yeah, man, I just, like Ortega looks awesome, 21 points. His defense has been great too. Lamont can, be, sneaky and get to the rim. Jackson is him for sure. I mean, he's the real deal. Hits 8 threes in one of those exhibitions. He's like always going to be, in double digits. And I'm trying to think who wraps up the starting lineup. They have Carr and Amari, right?
Carr, Amari, Ortega, Robinson, and Butler.
So I mean, Carr, hopefully he figures it out. Gets that jumper to fall a little bit. He's not shooting a lot of threes. I don't know if he's shot any threes really.
He's done a couple, but not a lot.
Yeah, but he's shooting those mid range, like that post fade. Maybe after a few weeks he'll get that post fade to fall. That would be a nice bucket for them. Just another way to score inside the paint, or inside the 3-point line. But I think there's, a lot. Kobe Brea, the real deal, coming off the bench. He's playing all these guys, but in that Duke game, obviously it's going to shrink. He talked about it. Pope talked about it post game. In those big games, rotations shrink. They'll roll with 8 guys. So that starting lineup, then, Brea off the bench. Garrison will come in, Ansley, and then Kerr. So maybe 9. I don't see Colin Chandler playing a ton in that game. Obviously Trent Noah, Travis Perry, love those boys, but they're a little ways away, Walker Horn. So I think I like Kerr as the backup point guard, and that's kind of a bummer for Travis that he doesn't really have that opportunity. But it'll be interesting to see how Pope kind of shrinks that rotation a little bit, if at all. He said he doesn't. He said he wants to play 10 guys in those big games. So, but I think naturally that'll shrink to probably 8 are really going to get most of those minutes.
I was really, really excited to see Kobe Brea get going. He was kind of, a little slow in those first 2 exhibitions, but he finally, what we thought he was, what we've seen him be at other schools at Dayton, he was that against Wright State. I think he was 4 for 4 at the 3. He had the Kirk Crease, a wide open layup, just kicked it out. He hit it and turned around backwards. I mean, he said in his post-game interview, he's not going to do that all the time. It just was in the moment type of thing. But that's when you're feeling it. Any shooter will tell you that. And it's also a side note I thought was really, really funny is he said once he shot it, he turned his back and the ball's still in the air. He, of course, couldn't see it go in and didn't know until he saw a fan right next to the court and saw the reaction on their face. And he was like, okay, it went in all in that half second. That's pretty cool. And I think
he barely hit the rim. I mean, he barely hit the rim all night.
And he's going to be phenomenal being that 7th, 8th guy that's just going to, he's going to come in and get you 2 or 3 3-pointers, and that might be the max of his production. But you got a knockdown 3-point shooter coming off the bench that can go at any point. So that's always good to have in your back pocket.
It's kind of the 6th guy. I mean, he's kind of the first guy off the bench, which is lethal. I mean, for him to come in and do that, I like him a lot. I feel like he has the ability to score inside the 3-point line too. So, I think he's a great first guy off the bench. And then Garrison's kind of the first big off the bench to give Carr or Amari a rest. And then Ansley, he quietly gets buckets, 5 for 7, only hit 1 3, but he hit, a few threes in those exhibitions. He's a good shooter. So, if he's 5 for 7, I mean, all these guys, they shot 60%. All these guys are making shots and they're efficient. So it's hard to really point out weaknesses. But in a big game like that next week, we'll see who's gonna have the guts to get those shots to fall and who won't.
Well, Michael, I'm glad you brought that up, and Tim, we're gonna go to you as well. But you said we don't have a whole lot of weaknesses. I think that's how you said that. I know we've only seen 1 game and 2 exhibitions. We don't have a lot to go off of just yet. But is there anything that's already kind of sitting in the back of your head of this might be a weakness for us? I kind of was going off maybe dominant defense at the rim, shot blockers. That's really the only thing I can think of. Is there anything that you all could think of that at this point we're kind of lacking, or are we kind of even out all the way around? What do you all think?
They let up a few too many offensive rebounds, and I'd like to see them allow to Wright State. Obviously big teams with big guys are gonna get those second chances, but Wright State shouldn't be getting those. You shouldn't give them 1 offensive rebound. And I don't know how many they got in the game, but a little bit more than they probably should. But
you said how many, Tim?
32.
How about
32 to our 41.
That's 32 rebounds overall, but 11 offensive rebounds. 11's way too high. Like, wow. So I didn't even see that number. I just thought of it. I don't know how many that turned into. I don't know how many second chance points that turned into. Let me see. But still, 11 is a lot. Whoa. Like, they don't say second chance points on this, what I'm looking at. I don't know if you guys can find it, but specialty.
Yeah, I'm not.
Second chance points.
We only had 8 second chance points. I don't know about Wright State. And we only had 7 offensive rebounds as well. So they had 4 more offensive rebounds. I don't know how many second chance points. We only had 8. Yeah. Then I don't even know how they did not even have close to the height that we had either. So, and Mark,
I'm like, what are like? Some of those are just bad bounces, right? But there were a couple. I was like, all right, guys, just box out. Let's go. But so maybe just some more effort and mental focus there for once the shot's going up. But they're expending a lot of effort and mental focus, on the perimeter and just guarding, catching up to guys. Lamont's going over screens and catching up to the shooter, blocking it. It's like, man, those are impressive plays. So, I love their perimeter defense. They'll just work on the interior and then I think, just scoring inside the 3-point line. But, they certainly don't have a problem with depth. I think Pope still got a lot more experimenting to do. I don't know if Garrison really has it. I think he's going to be a work in progress. He's young. I mean, he's a former McDonald's All-American, right? But
Yep.
he still needs a lot more reps. So, but they're going to need him, right? Because if he's the first big off the bench, they're really going to need him.
Tim, did you have a certain point that you thought was one of our weaknesses? I mean,
pretty much in agreement with you all, Michael, saying rebounding for sure, and I'm there with you too, Trace, on just the interior defense, because I mean that was part of his post game presser with Wright State. He's saying that he believes they have a bunch of potential there for rim protection, and there's definitely some room to growth. So, thankfully it's just week 1. We'll see where we go a few weeks from now. See if we grow in that area.
Yeah. The big thing that I've been thinking of since I've been at these so far is the vibes around Rupp Arena. Like in Rupp Arena, it's about 97% true what I'm about to say. You could pick a couple little things if you wanted, but I'm not. This is like, it feels like the most united and wholesome that Kentucky basketball has felt in a couple of years, man. And I think that's something that should get noted along the way. Because like right now, in the honeymoon phase, nothing can go wrong. Everything just being in Rupp Arena, absolute positivity. You're getting a new form of Kentucky basketball, and it's great to almost everybody. A great approval rating, putting up a lot of points. Who could hate that? I don't know. I think it's really, really special of just the vibes that you feel being in there right now. It's a great time to be a Kentucky basketball fan during this honeymoon phase.
Tim, you want to start with that?
Yeah, I mean the honeymoon phase, I think, is the perfect terminology for it. It'll be interesting to see how this fan base reacts come like the first loss. I mean, I think it would be optimistic overall, pretty much entirely across the platform. But say I don't think we'll have any like super high power teams like Cal did necessarily. So say we get I don't know how many losses, like 13, like right around there. What do we get? Or what's our fan base look like? But no, anyway, the vibes are super high. It's awesome to see. I love that they still play Moni Moni. I love that they brought that back. I don't know about you, Trace, but going to the games, there was always that dancing guy.
Oh, growing up, yeah.
And
Tim, he lives in Frankfurt, if I'm not mistaken.
Does he?
If I'm like 95% sure.
Now that you say that, I want to say my dad knows who that is.
Yeah.
But there was that unfortunate situation in which he dropped the girl and say they didn't allow him to do that anymore. But you're seeing a lot of little small traditions coming back. It's nice to see.
Yeah, I see your point, Trace, but at the same time, like, you guys loved last year's team. Like, the fans loved last year's team.
Oh, yeah.
With Reed, and Cal's got the T-shirt with like Reed, Rob, DJ, Aaron, Justin. It's like boom, that was like that team, if they would have accomplished anything in March, would have been a beloved team. And I think these fans, while there is a togetherness, we're like, these fans love Pope, but they don't love this team yet. They like the team, obviously, but they're only two Kentucky guys. I think the fans will certainly, fall in love with them if they accomplish something in March. But if they don't, it's just kind of, another forgotten thing. But like last year's team, they loved Reed, and they're like, I think that was really supposed to be one of Cal's like 3 best teams ever. Like that was really it. And then they just choke, and Golke scores 32. But that I feel like the vibes are higher in Rupp, but like I still feel like that was there last year. And there was pressure on Cal, and people were upset with Cal, but the team was like still beloved, and they wanted those guys to win like so bad, and especially for Reed, like that was really something special. And that group was supposed to go down as one of the best teams, like and most beloved teams in Kentucky basketball history, and it just didn't end right.
I mean, I absolutely did love the team last year. Like, I really, really did. Great individuals, put up a lot of points, but they had so many flaws. Couldn't guard a lick of defense. We all season long played Reed, played Rob. They had come off the bench. Like, it had its annoyances along the way. I don't want to take away from it. It was absolutely so much fun for most of last year. But I think just the angle I'm coming at was we have just such a little evidence right now. Everything's perfect, but we'll see how it feels in December, and we'll see if things change. But what y'all think did y'all see the video of the post-game celebration where Mark Pope was walking back into the locker room, and someone told him that the team was in there waiting with water bottles to spray him, and he said they gave him one. He walked in, he was like, y'all think y'all are going to ambush me, and start spraying them first. Did y'all see that clip? That was awesome, man.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that. That's funny.
Yeah. It's I put out a clip of it, and he came in there and just got all of them. Then they got him, and we're just good vibes. And then I really like that they gave him a bourbon barrel top after the win, because that's just Kentucky things, right? Like Kentucky produces 95% of the world's bourbon. No other school or no other state can do that. It's just our little special thing, and I don't know, a little touch on a win. And they did it for Kenny Brooks as well, so that was cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what Amari said, but he was basically like, just like, like we were so excited for Coach Pope to have this moment because he's done so much for us already. And I was like, I mean, these guys, are looking for a new home, and Pope just, snatches them up and says, hey, we're going to do something special here, and assembles this roster. And like, we heard about it in the summer of like how much the players love Pope, and like his aura, Jackson Robinson was like, man, he's got aura, that's what the kids are saying. And like, you could sense it, but now like starting to talk to these players and seeing it out there, like, man, they love Pope, and they want to win for him. Obviously every player wants to win for their coach, like that's nothing out of the ordinary. But I think just to hear Amari say like, man, he's done so much for us already. And it's like, the season just started, they just got here a few months ago, when Pope gets hired, and, they assemble this roster, they start, practice in June and off-season practice. So it's cool. It is exciting that they're really, like you said, Trey, I mean, the vibes are higher for sure everywhere. And I think, we'll see if that will continue when they hit some bumps in the road and they start losing. Then, who's going to hold everyone accountable? Who are the leaders in there? We have a, good sense of it based on experience, but you never know, besides being in that locker room, who's really going to step up. And that's where it'll be interesting to see them overcome some challenges.
Yeah. Tim, you can attest to this just as much as I can too, just growing up around this. Like these players really, really like being here. I mean, again, nothing, no shade to the other players. They all like being here as well, but it is a little different. It's like, you're playing for Kentucky. Mark Pope's just let me not say the wrong word. He's forcing this to all of them. You're here for Kentucky. This is the greatest stage in college basketball. It's not just a pit stop. Some of these players, I mean, they're not guaranteed to go to the next level. They're trying to get like professional contracts, but it may not be in the NBA. So like right now, there's going to be probably the biggest spotlight they get probably ever. I mean, there's a lot of players through that Cal era that like when they left, they never got the spotlight they got here. Think of the Harrison twins. I mean, that's just a small example. They never got that same spotlight as Kentucky. That's why they all come back. They come here and get loved by this huge, huge fan base. So it's really, really cool to see these players really, really like it. They're taking it all in. They're, going back there, the Big Blue Madness, you had all the players come out from the tops and they're with the fans and they're not saying no to any interviews, any autographs. After the game, they go around and say hey to a couple people and take pictures. They're just fully embracing it, and it's a different form, but it's like a breath of fresh air. It's so good to see. And I don't know, Tim, have you picked up on any of that as well? I mean, it feels like we're playing for Kentucky and not just me. I'm just here for a year type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think it's like a secret that I feel like with Cal, it was really just his brand. I feel like that maybe kind of faded out towards, the end of his year here. I mean, you still got Monk saying, F Louisville and everything, but if he asks Severe Wheeler if he hates Louisville, I'm sure he doesn't care. So I'd say that faded away a little bit, but yeah, it's nice to see that Pope's bringing this back, bringing the brand of Kentucky back, and all the excitement around it.
I kind of really want to talk about the offense. I mean, again, this is another new thing, this offense. I love every second of it. I think the fast break points that they're going to get, as soon as they get to the rebound, they just take off and look for the guy ahead, and they're getting so many points in transition. The offense, I mean, I'm looking at the 3 box scores in the first exhibition. They put up 123 points their first night. If it was a real game, they would have tied the school record for 21 made threes. I mean, that was insane. The first playing against another opponent, they did that. Second game, they put up 98. And then the first real game, they put up 103. So they've won by 71, 31, and 41. And I know these are inferior opponents, and it's supposed to be a beat down for these first few games, but like, this is about as big of a beatdown as you can get, and we constant 3-pointers, constant sharing the ball. Every game we have 7+ players in double figures. We have easily over 10 players every game scoring. I mean, everybody's getting the rock. You have a couple guys that are taking the way with 15, 20 points a game, but like just a high scoring offense, a fast paced offense. And I'm loving every second of it, man. And I just wait until they get like that first exhibition against a good opponent. I mean, against Duke, like, this summer I was like, I don't know how this team's going to do against them, but like, I'm not really afraid anymore. I'm not going to pick a win just yet, but I think it's going to be respectable with the chance of winning. When before the season, I didn't think we had a chance to win. I'm confident as ever going to that game. I mean, if we were to lose, I think it's under 15. I'm not afraid of Duke like I was 2 months ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to judge, because what they're doing right now is like, they'll never, if they just did this every game, they would just never lose a game ever. Like, they're shooting 60%, hitting double-digit threes, and and also assists on all these baskets. 30 assists on 39 baskets is so impressive. So the teamwork and them to gel this quickly, know where each other are going to be, and the cut and the moving, like it really is nice to watch that they're just playing nice team basketball. And no real ISO ball, which is really refreshing. But it's exciting, and these guys, their games do translate, to difficult games. Like Ortega is just so physical. He can get to the rim. Him, like when he gets ahead of steam after a steal, like that's a tough dude to stop. So, he'll be able to do that, probably night in, night out, even if the shot's not falling. So it's just going to be interesting to see them, win an ugly game, when it gets physical, and they're gonna only make like 6 threes, 7 threes. There are just gonna be some games like that, and then is that just an automatic loss? Are they gonna lose by 20, or are they gonna get gritty, and maybe dump it down in the paint? I'd like to see Amari, get better with his. I don't know if he can get better with his post work. It seems like they might crash a double on him quick, and so he hasn't gotten that little hook to fall. He's gotten some dunks, obviously, and he's thunderous and he can make some highlights, but maybe like dumping it down to him, seeing how that works. Obviously, it's not going to be like an Oscar dump down where you just throw it down to him and then the ball just dies there, but he gets buckets, or like Julius Randle. It won't be like that, because obviously they would rather shoot threes because they make them, and 3 is more than 2. But if they can find another way like that, I think that's what will kind of take this team to another level.
Yeah. So I've been kind of also thinking about, like, Duke's got with Cooper Flag, he's like an 11 out of 10 player. He's going to be a top pick, like a solid player. I feel like, obviously Kentucky doesn't have the Cooper Flag, but I feel like we've got 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 type of players across the board. Like, I feel like our drop off from the starting 5 to the next 7 players isn't that crazy. So I've kind of wanted to get your all's thoughts on, outside of the starting 5 of Butler, Robinson, Carr, Otega, and Amari. I think that's 5. Yeah. So the people that are coming off the bench, who do you think, if you kind of, again, we've only got 1 game and 2 exhibitions golf, so these can be wrong down the road. It's okay. Who do you think those first 3 coming off the bench that you think long-term are going to be like the 6th, 7th, and 8th type of guys? I think you've definitely got to throw in Garrison.
No doubt.
That's a bump. And I'm really high on Colin Chandler. I just feel, he's not going to be like off the bench the whole year, but I feel like he's going to have his moments. I don't think Colin Chandler's a dud at all. That's probably who I'd go with right now. Do y'all have any changes to that at all? Tim, you want to start?
I'd love to see Almanor get going, of course.
I was going to say Ansley for sure.
Yeah. And, I don't think Kerr gets in there, but I do like the pace that he brings at times. I brought up Severe Wheeler earlier because I remember that one of the biggest critiques with him among the fan base was him just pushing the ball too much, way too fast, turning it over, or botching a layup. So Kerr does push the pace, and he makes relatively smart decisions almost each time when he's pushing that. I still don't think he cracks that top 3 though.
Yeah, 5 assists is really nice for your backup point guard in 14 minutes off the bench. He's not going to score, but they don't need him to score. It is kind of funny to see, man. He, like, Lamont will push it up, but he kind of does it, calmly, strategically, and and you could sense that he has that pace. But Kerr's just running, man. Like, he'll just go all out, which is cool. It's an exciting pace, and if he's going to find a quick shooter, then that's great. Like you mentioned with Brea, but I don't know about. I don't know about Colin Chandler. So he's talented, but he's still young. He didn't play basketball for 2 years. So
Michael, that's you. You're talking as off the record, where we've said that Michael Epps and Colin Chandler look just alike, especially when Michael has his curly hair and it's all grown out. Michael, that's your guy. You should be high on him like me, man.
I know. I was debating if I was going to show this, but I'll show it.
I was going to say I saw you and Colin talking before the game yesterday, and I was like, I have a feeling that Michael probably dressed up as him for Halloween or something.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome, Michael. I wish I had the picture on my phone right now. There's a picture when we did one of these podcasts a long time ago. You're in like a red shirt. You have curly hair all up the front. Man, I'll get that picture. I'm not prepared right now. You look just like him.
That was the initial side-by-side.
Oh, my God.
And I was just like, all right, I got to do it. So the bummer, sorry for the sidetrack. The bummer, so this is actually a Pistons jersey. Notice the red. It's like, what? How are you going to be a Kentucky basketball player and have red? Like, I ordered a white jersey, blank jersey, and it didn't come in time. It said it was going to come in by the 31st. And then it's like that evening, I still haven't gotten it. I'm like, what's going on, man? And they're like, it's pushed back to November 3rd. I'm like, Come on. So I'm about to return that thing. I haven't even opened it. But yeah, it worked. I just printed out the 5 and the Kentucky. I had Chandler on the back, so it worked out. It was a solid Halloween costume. But yeah, because you're right. I used to last year. I would grow out my curls and have cut them now. But when I had the curls, definitely looks alike. I like him. I think he's a good player. His athleticism is awesome. He's just got to, it'll take some time for him to hone everything in.
And then Tim, you're a lookalike if you get a little messed up buzz cut.
Yeah, I gotta trim the hair shorter and try to grow out the mustache a little bit. But I've had like 2 people maybe mention I look a little bit like Kerr if I have that kind of style.
Just get a messed up buzz cut. No offense to
Kerr. I'll grow this out. It'll take me like probably 4 months to get that kind of mustache because I can't grow facial hair.
I see it. I can't see it.
Maybe
and then, since y'all are doing it, I got to do it too. Let me just shave everything off and shave my facial hair, and I'll make a Mark Pope work if you want me to.
Yeah.
So we got Mark Pope, Kerr Kriisa, and Colin Chandler. We could pull it off if we do.
Hey, we might have to dress as them and do a podcast as them or something.
Yeah, we got some plans in the future. Oh, to kind of segue this back to some basketball talk, I guess it's still fun talk. A topic I had in mind is, I know we're kind of backtracking a little bit, but Big Blue Madness, blue-white game, first 2 exhibitions, and then the first game of the season. I was wanting to kind of just go off the cusp, off the top of the head of just, we've not prepared for this at all, but the fun moments we've had so far, and throw yours in when you have them. If I forget any, because I'm going to, let me know. But Jackson Robinson's 8 3-pointers, that was a fun moment. Brandon Garrison's poster he caught on someone. Colin Chandler in the blue-white game caught a body on one of our players. I thought, something that's been stuck with me for a while is Mark Pope's entrance at Big Blue Madness from the top, back touching the top of Rupp Arena. Colin Chandler at the Big Blue Madness dunking over the coach. What else am I missing? Some fun moments that we've already had, because we've had a dozen so far.
I loved last game. It was like towards the beginning of the game when Amar Williams was top of the key and he just drove it in with the left hand, jumped up real tall and slammed it down. That kind of, when I saw it, I was like, oh, it was kind of like a Giannis dunk.
You got a good picture of that, Tim. Y'all need to check that out on our Facebook. Tim's got a picture. It went nuts. It got like 1,500 likes or something like that. You were ready for that moment, Tim.
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah, he's so athletic. He's definitely, I hope he just continues to get better. I mean, he's going to be one of the better bigs that you'll see around. I mean, the dude's talented for sure. And I think back first play of the game, really, I mean, because Amari, he had a little, tweaked his knee. We weren't sure. He still starts this game and then throws the lob to Carr to start the game. That was pretty dope. And then there was one, Lamont gets the block and then throws it ahead to Jackson, who hits 3 there in the first half. That was a pretty hype moment. I think that might have forced a timeout. Maybe not, but that was
Kobe Breas turnaround 3. Y'all remember the first exhibition when Trent Noah didn't even get any floor time in the first half, comes in and hits 4 threes, I think?
5.
5.
Oh, yeah, it's 5, yeah.
Trent Noah came and hit all those.
And then Travis getting his first bucket. That was cool, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, just going to those off the top of the head, been some fun moments.
Travis assisted on, I think, 4 of those threes to Trent. Either 3 or 4, but at least 3, which is awesome. It's like, oh, that's cool. So, and Pope keeps talking about them too, in his pressers. Like, yeah, those guys are going to be the future of Kentucky basketball, and it might be quicker than you think, but it probably won't be this year. But hopefully next year they could shine. And next year's recruiting class, man. I mean, I don't know if you guys wanted to touch on that, but Pope gets Caden Lewis, right? So he's a 5-star, right? Or 4?
He's 4 as of now. 4.
4. Jasper's 5. Malachi's a 4.
He got, but remember, Malachi got that 5th star.
5. Yeah,
like way down the road. We'll take it. Our guy got a 5th star.
Yeah, and then isn't there one more that he's trying to
Wilson, right? There's a lot of buzz around Caleb Wilson.
Yeah,
and he's a 5.
I believe so.
I would say 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like next year, man, I mean, it's more and more likely, and it's almost a lock now of, you're going to have that from our selfish part of it of Travis Perry, Trent Noah, Malachi Moreno, Jasper Johnson. Just need a fifth one. I don't know who that fifth Kentucky guy's going to be, but man, he rolled up an all Kentucky lineup. I might kind of shed a little tear for that one.
Yeah, it says here that Caleb Wilson is 5-star. He's 8th nationally right now.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, there's going to be a lot. They're going to have to hit the portal hard next year because a lot of these guys can't come back if they want to. So we're going to have probably a big heavy portal team again next year with a solid recruiting class. But he's going to be his first year. He had to throw this one together so quick.
Yeah, clearly Pope he knows the portal. He did pretty well here. We'll see how it lasts, but so far it looks pretty good.
That Caden Lewis, for me, it happened so quick because I was headed to the Tennessee game. It just happened, put the news out, and I didn't get to process it because we were going into Knoxville. It was so quick after that, a long night at Tennessee. But that's the first stepping stone of, okay, he got the Kentucky guys. It would be hard to mess up unless they had a good offer to go somewhere else. But he got Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno, and then it's like, people had the buzz of like, can you get an out-of-state recruit? I fully thought he could, but he had to go out and do it first. Went out and got Caden Lewis. It's just another stepping stone knocking off the checklist of what Mark Pope can do here, and he's checked everything off so far. I mean, I can't think of something that we've wanted him to do this far in 6 months, 11 or 7 months that he's not done. So just making his way into Kentucky history, man.
He's just got to win in March, man.
Yeah. And, I'm glad you said that because obviously the night he got hired, that was the big red flag of like, this guy's never won a game in the NCAA tournament, and he's coming to Kentucky, the most winningest program in history, got the most titles, all the March Madness stuff, and he came to Kentucky. That was the big thing. But, I mean, what about this coach now, like after the limited evidence we've seen, makes you think that – and I'm not asking you directly, I'm just for the listeners – what makes you think that, like, he can't go get out and go get an NCAA tournament win? I fully think he can. He knows how to coach basketball. He's got a good offense in play, and we've got great players now. But next year when we get more of these top recruits and he's put this offense with them, like, I'm not worried at all. I feel like he has as good a chance as anybody to go in the tournament. And now he's got to go make the deep run and get all the emotions and the nerves of that first time. But, like, I think it's going to happen. I don't know how far this year, but, like, I do not think we're going to – get bounced in the first or second round. I mean, the floor is very, very low.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you play defense like you're playing, right, in a March Madness situation where dudes are nervous, right, going to make mistakes. You capitalize on those, getting some steals and turn those into points off turnovers. Like, if they keep doing that, that's a recipe for March because, that defense is what you need in March. And you got to score when – you're not hitting threes, right? So that's another one. Just sometimes you get cold, and I want to see how they do in a game when they get cold. But the defense, I definitely think they look good. Should be a second weekend team, but we've said that plenty of times the last 5 years, and they haven't got out the first weekend in those 5 years. So.
To go off those three things you just mentioned, I mean, I'm trying to get myself ready for it right now, but like we've got defense. I mean, limited evidence, but we were playing defense. We couldn't play it at all the whole season last year. The nerves of March Madness. Well, we've got veterans who've played over, 75 plus games of college basketball. Now I know March Madness is a little different, but like they're not the bright light freshmen that we were used to. So hopefully that tames the nerves a little bit in those moments. All the things, the Duke game and the Ohio State game in New York, all that stuff's going to lead up to helping that as well. But I know we got a good case for March.
For sure, and that experience is valuable, but none of that was anything like Kentucky, besides like Lamont, who was in the Final Four, right? But like they, now you have serious expectations just wearing this uniform, and you have a whole massive basketball fan base that you have to carry on your shoulders now. I mean, you like, this is the bread and butter. This, like, it doesn't matter. Football might not make a bowl streak over. Like, nobody cares. It's about this team. You got to show up. You got to go win number 9. And it's like, like Jackson Robinson, like he was like, they lost in the tournament first round last year. And Ortega, he was with Oklahoma, right? Then I don't even know. Did they make the tournament?
I have no clue.
So they're in the Big 12 tournament. Like
Almador was in it with the 12th seed matchup.
Right. I mean, Andrew
6
Carr's
seeds,
at
well, 12th.
Andrew Carr's at Wake Forest. Now he's like, like this is the real deal now. Like Cruz is at West Virginia, but now it's like,
Ray is at Dayton.
Yeah, it's Dayton, like Drexel, Amari Williams. Like, this is no Kentucky trying to make the Final Four. Like, so nerves are going to be tight. Expectations are going to get on them. And we saw last year's team falter with that. There was, massive expectations on that team. And like you saw like one play free in that game, and it was Antonio Reeves. Because of your point, he had experience. He had a year playing at Kentucky already. That was his second year, because the first year, he kind of choked like that. The tournament game. The tournament game, wasn't he like 1 for 10?
Yeah, no, yeah. And is that, I'm getting my years mixed up. Is that they played 2 games, Providence and
Kansas State? They lost to Kansas State, and he went like 1 for, or was it like 1 for 14 or something crazy?
Yeah,
like,
it was not good.
It was 0 for until like the final minute. That's like that's my same point. Illinois State. It's like, Illinois State. Now it's Kentucky.
Yeah,
I gotta show up. I have to show up. I have to, and then it gets to you, right? So, but he had a second year. He knew he was the guy on that team with all those freshmen. He had to be, the leader in there, and they love Tone. All those players, those freshmen, man, they love Tone, and he showed up, man. He was an All-American. He was great in that game. He was the only one that was good in that game, really. And the rest of the guys, it just crumbled. Even the returners like Adu and I'm trying to think of the non-freshmen that played in that game. Like Ugana was a returner. Like, what did he do in that game? So guys with experience, it still doesn't always mean that you're going to perform in March. So like that, at that point, the expectations will be on them, and they're going to have to deliver. And no matter what happens throughout this regular season, they could go and win the SEC tournament because Nashville doesn't matter, right? Only the one that matters. Like that was Cal. That was Cal. It matters now, so they could go win that this year.
Yeah.
But then still, it's different out there, man. It's different in March. You see that March Madness logo in the middle, after Selection Sunday, it just clicks, that Selection Sunday is what we all grow up as kids watching and filling out your brackets. And same with those players, man. They that's what they dream of. And then you finally get to the moment, and it's like,
to kind of tie this in, it seems that Pope is like really preaching to just go out there and play good basketball to all these players, because he was talking about in his post-game presser versus Wright State how, I don't know if it was, I want to say he said it was maybe towards the beginning of his coaching career at BYU, but he went to a referee symposium where he really just tried to learn, what refs are seeing, why they're calling these calls. And he even mentioned that there was a poll that everyone had to take of like 120 refs in there saying, is this a block or charge? And he said it was like 51% block, 49% charge. So just, knowing that, preaching to his players that the refs have no outcome on the game, it's fully about going out there, playing good basketball. Best case scenario is come March, this team is there and the big lights don't shine too bright on them, and they know to just go out there, play good basketball.
Yeah, and then the other point was like it wasn't Zen, but it was basically like Zen. What was his thing at media day? It was like, be silent. You're like just the mental, like, you don't remember that, Trace? You were at media day?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was like, it was this big point of like silent, or like, just mental, peace and calmness, and that will that's obviously a great, lesson to teach, and it'll help. It's helped already, as they've talked about, and that it helps their confidence. But it's a little different when the heart starts pumping, man. It's March, and you got to go win number 9 for Kentucky basketball, like a blue blood. So, and I'm not saying they're not going to deliver, right? Like, I have confidence in these guys now. Even through those 3 games, they've played nobody, but I still feel like the recipe's there, right? I mean, like, if the defense is there, and they could be a good team. Maybe they only lose like 8 games and they're like a 5 seed, or maybe better, right? I mean, who knows? But maybe they win the SEC, but it doesn't look like Arkansas is gonna, huh? If they're losing to TCU now.
Well, Texas A&M as well with that season opener upset.
Yeah. But I think I'm rooting for these guys for sure. But because you guys know I'm not a fan. I'm not, but like I'm rooting for Pope. I like Pope. I love that he did the, one-on-one interviews with us. Like the TV stations. I was able to sit down with him and do a one-on-one. And you could tell that like he cares. He's funny in his post-game pressers. Like the vibes are high. He makes jokes and he's a good guy. So I'm certainly rooting for him. But man, like there's pressure here. So I hope they deliver. But there's not a lot of pressure on them for this Duke game. And that's should help them. Because they're like. I mean, they both want to win, obviously, but it's kind of like, Duke's highly ranked, right? They're what, like 7th? And they got Cooper Flag, they're Duke, it's like, okay, Kentucky's a brand new team, new coach. So the pressure's kind of on them, and so if the Cats just go out there, play free and shoot the lights out, they can knock off Duke. And that would be an epic first big win for Mark Pope. So that's the first big test. I'm excited to see how they do.
Yeah, the thing that brings me most comfort of what we were just talking about is the floor for the postseason is as low as can be. You just got to go win one game, right? Like, it's whether that be in Nashville or in March in the NCAA tournament. The floor is low, man.
That team was so good, and
I'm not picking us to win a title, but I'm just picking us to win one game at least. And that's the floor. So. Now if we lost one, if we lost the first round, I'd be like, damn, what just happened? But and then I hate to be a homer, but I'm gonna have to for just a second. There's a little bit that in the back of my head, it's real small. You might have to bring me back a little bit, but divine intervention of like how perfect everything's been. Mark Pope press conference like a revival. His first game he won by 41.
Women won by 55. Add those two together, you get 96.
Yeah. See what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
Wow. Hey. I don't think he's gonna win a title this year, but like there's a lot of weird Big Blue Nation godly type of stuff happening right now. You got the 2 Kentucky players, like it's just I don't know. Let me
it's all too perfect right now.
Yeah,
and once something bad happens, hopefully all walls don't start crumbling down.
You're just a classic Kentucky fan, man. You're just living in this dream, and then you're gonna say fire Pope in 3 years. No, I'm kidding. But.
We got a team captain back. Rick Patino came back. Like it's just stuff's wild right now, and stuff's wild in the Kentucky world.
Yeah, I like the Patino stuff. Man. Bringing Patino back, like he's coming to the football game.
Did y'all want to hit that real quick? Did y'all want to talk to? I mean, we just got a couple minutes. Like, did y'all have any strong takes on the Patino stuff?
It's nice to see. I never thought I would see it. Growing up at a young age, when did he leave Kentucky? I mean, I know he won in 98,
97, right? Because
was it not? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, I've known him nothing but as the Louisville head coach. I've always hated him growing up. So I know my parents loved him. My grandparents, liked him as well. So it's neat to see that the villains, returning back, I guess, to his hero ways.
Fans wanted UK to hire him.
Yeah,
like they didn't talk about Pope. They wanted him. They said Patino come back, and that would have been crazy. But it's cool. The Pope Patino connect. Obviously, it's way better that Pope's here. He's young. I mean, he could be here for 25 years. He's hopefully, for Pope, who's here 25 years and wins, 5 national championships. That's what they hope. But there's like youth movement here, like just energy with the program, and I like that with Pope.
Michael, you know what I was thinking about, and what kind of going off what you just said there. I had this thought in my mind with Patino back. So for years, my whole childhood, Joe B. Hall, got to know him really well. My dad was really good friends with him. Joe B. Hall had a million friends. It wasn't just my dad, but my dad talked to him every single week on the phone all the way until he died for 12 years. Like, I got to know Joe B. Hall a little bit, and that goes more to his character than anything. Joe B. Hall did that for hundreds of people. But anyways, for years we saw Joe B. Hall was Cal's mentor. As soon as he got here, when Joe B. Hall was in better health, he sat low. He had 2 seats in lower Rupp Arena that no one else could sit in every single year. It's him and his best buddy. Like, it was almost reserved for them for years and years since Cal was here. Anyways, I think now with how quick things happen, Joe B. Hall passed away a few years ago. Cal went out, and out of nowhere, I think Rick Pitino has found himself of Mark Pope slid into Cal's spot. Rick Patino might slide into, if he quits coaching in a couple of years, slide into that Joe B. Hall mentor. Let me just sit back, kind of like Roy Williams is doing now in North Carolina. Just watching from away. I'm here if you need any help. And I don't think a year ago that was, it wasn't possible at all. And it's just how that's worked out. And going real quickly off the Rick Pitino thing, I didn't, like Tim said, I grew up, he was Louisville's coach my whole life. I was born in 98. So by the time I was born, the Tubby was here. And all I've known is he was Louisville's coach. And I hated him from my high school years and post-high school when he was at Louisville. Like, I did not like the guy. So I was more neutral when he came back. But I've got to say, to romanticize Kentucky basketball and to love this thing, being there in that arena when I saw the thing that he was there, and I was just like, I didn't know how I felt about it. And then when he came out and to hear that full place go nuts, I mean, I hate to romanticize this thing, but it was really cool. It was really cool. And I don't think I would have felt the same way if I wasn't in there, but just seeing this fan base just be up on edge and this out of nowhere, he comes back and he's getting choked up at the mic and everybody just gives this crazy cold chills of an outpour. Man, it was really, really cool. In that moment, I was just like, no matter how much you don't like a former such and such coach player, at some point they all deserve to come back home and be embraced because they did great things when they were here. Rick Pitino walked out of Rupp Arena with his middle fingers up, and it all came back and literally and won a title at the rival program, and it all came back to Kentucky was come back home. Rick Pitino's let me back home. This is the biggest thing. Nothing else meant more than this. I mean, I can't help but to fall in love with this thing, man. It's Kentucky basketball is so special.
Yeah, that's a cool point. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just real quick, I gotta ask: do you think he still has that Louisville tattoo right there over his left shoulder? You think he's gotten that taken off yet, or you think it's still there?
I think he's got it.
Yeah, he's got it. Well, he's not gonna take it off because he gave credit to Louisville. I interviewed him on the field during that game. That was the Vandy game, right? Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal loss.
Yeah.
Even though Vandy's nice, but he was talking about Louisville and he loves the players. He loves those memories. But the school, they never invited him back. They still haven't, and they're cold to him, but he loves those players, and he'll always have that title. That's a real title.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever they want to say, but that's a real title. And
I don't know what you're talking about, Michael.
No, it's a cool point you made of the Roy Williams thing. It's not really like that at Duke, kind of. Coach K doesn't really do the same for Shire, really.
It's just different here.
Well,
to go off that, man. Well,
no, but I'm saying Patino, that would be awesome if Patino did that. But you're right, Roy Williams does that at North Carolina, but Coach K doesn't really do that. Roy Williams is way more present. I feel like it would staying around the UNC basketball program than Coach K does.
I think Roy just got out, and this is my opinion. I think he just got out because of the NIL, all that was coming, kind of like Saban did. Was I don't want to get in all that, but he's I still want to be involved. It wasn't like he wanted to. I don't think he just wanted to be done with the sport. I think he was afraid of that big change. I think with Coach K, it's more of just let me have him do his couple of things. Let him do his thing and make his own legacy because – Duke's been Coach K for 40 years. Are they anything without Coach K? It was kind of and now John Shire's kind of getting to build his legacy and keep things going. But back to what we were talking about a second ago is like, Rick Pitino's coaching at another program right now actively, and it's like, and he was at Louisville down the road and won a title, but then nothing else trumps being part of Kentucky. Like, he put all that behind of getting embraced by this fan base and coming back, because that being a Kentucky, whatever you are, former player, coach, AD, whatever, it clears it all. Like, and I know I'm being a homer on that, but like that didn't happen at any other school. What happened with Rick Pitino when he came out, it was so special, man.
I am curious, just like what St. John's thoughts on all this are. I mean, he's the men's basketball coach there, yet donating $15,000 to the football program. I just want to know what they think about that.
It's different here, man. Whether they know that or not, like, it's different.
I mean, St. John's is just happy that Patino's their head coach. Yeah, I mean, people are going to the games really for him. So, they just want him to hang on for a couple more years till he retires.
Yeah, fellas, that's about all I got. I was so good to get back on here with y'all. We got to force these a little bit more. We got to, we're all busy with football and stuff, but that's kind of fading out, and we've got the regular season going right now. So, up next, we've got Bucknell on Saturday at 4:00. And then right after that, Tuesday, right, is that the Champions Classic at versus Duke. So we'll get some more of these in here. Do y'all have final words? It's still up in the air. I don't. What about you, Tim?
I won't be.
I'll be
there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, we do have to talk to you about one upcoming one after this pod.
Yeah. Me and Tim been texting today about some plans, and we'll leave it off the recording for here. But any last words for y'all before we close this thing out?
Don't think so. I'm glad we have a winning Kentucky program going on right now. It's nice to see.
1-0. Can't tell me nothing. For everyone watching this, this is our second year with Field of 68. Glad they let us to come back with them. We have so much fun. Follow Michael on Twitter, Tim on Twitter, Cats Coverage on Twitter, and then Cats Coverage on Facebook. This is going to be posted on YouTube. We'll try to live stream it anywhere. Michael on Fox 56, Tim taking our pictures. We got a lot of things to promote, and I could care less. I want to promote it all because we all do great work. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch y'all next time.
All right.